And it's been the Magnus Kort show so far this week. It's been Kesper Askren afternoon so far. And he's riding away to try and take more points in the King of the Mountains classification. Aski and Vatsek have been caught. 37.5 kilometres remain. And here we go. More points at the top. And Kesper Askren is the King of the Mountains. All depends what happens with the peloton behind and who wins the stage, because there are points at the top, both passages through it. But Askren riding well before I think he's about to be caught.
Is that Trentin on the front now as well?
It looks like it, doesn't it? Oliveira wasn't far away before. And there's, you can just see, fourth wheel actually, already. João Almeida's not far away. Narrow roads these, and about to descend very briefly. It's not the longest descent this. They're sort of on a little bit of a plateau here, and then rising up and down in the back roads, heading towards Mayao again.
Once they approach this climb, and I'm just looking on VeloViewer now, they've got a little bit of up and down now until they get to the bottom of that climb. The climb, by the way, is not too long, 2.2k, but an average of 10.4% average gradient. So it's not going to be the hardest climb in the world, it's not going to be the steepest, but it is going to definitely hurt, and especially have to do this 2 times. After they get to the top of that climb on the first lap round, they have a lot of downhill, roughly around, I'm going to say 11 kilometres, until they get to a little bump in the road. Yeah, 11k, 14k at 0.4%, little tiny little bump just before they start to climb up once again to the finish. So it is, for me, that opens the door to a group going off the front, Rob. Maybe just a couple of, maybe more than a couple of riders, 5, 6 riders, strong climbers that want to get up the road and try and create that gap almost before the climb starts in the final time, to put riders under pressure. But I think once you do that, unless it succeeds and it gets a big enough gap, you're not then going to have it again on the final climb. So it is a little bit of a gamble, but if you want to get rid of the likes of Garner, etc., you're going to have to ride hard up there.
They're always deceptive, these 2 uphill finishes on paper. Let me explain myself when I say that, because you've got the Alto da Foya that usually comes first. That's often the second stage in this race, as it was this time, and that's a longer climb, and on paper you think, well, that's an interesting one. It's a lot higher as well. You've got to about 800 metres, but it's a climb that has gradients that are fairly steady, and you can sort of ride them almost like it's a sprint train, with riders just peeling off, as we saw the other day. We saw a rather strange mountaintop sprint, didn't we, with Magnus Kort coming around in that stealthy way of his to win the stage just alongside Ilan van Wilder, who was celebrating. And then you see this climb on paper and it looks short, and you think, this is the easier of the 2 finishes. But no, I think that this is the harder of the 2 finishes, given the gradient, and you've got all these roads in and around. It's a really interesting race for that. They're not sort of your stereotypical uphill finishes.
Yeah, they're not at all. I'd say these ones are, there's a lot to it, the steepness, the length of it. I mean, there's a 2.5k climb at 10% average gradient basically can take you anywhere from 10 minutes if you're a good climber, but for a bad climber, or if you blow your doors off, you can lose a lot of time quickly because of the gradient and how steep it is. So the riders will know that it's something they've got to think about going into the red, because you'll be able to accelerate quickly when you need to, but not many times on a 10.4% climb.
Michael Haller on the front in the green and black for Bora Hansgrohe. Good options for them today. Sergio Higuita, who's been fairly quiet this week. Jai Hindley's looked good. He's their best place. He's 5th in the GC. And there's the man with a white jersey, Frederik Vondale of Denmark. Can he be today's Dane of the day? The Dane of the race so far, the man of the race in the yellow jersey there. Left-hand side, Magnus Kort. It was interesting listening to him.
Sorry, Rob, yeah, I was just going to say, just look at his team around him, though. We've seen him ride well in the past, but you can tell the motivations there, that they know Magnus is in good condition, because there's 3 of them all always just around him, just trying to keep him in that good position. They know that it's important to get him to that climb in a good position, so if he does start to slide back a bit, there's sliding room so he can drift back on the climb. But you can tell that team, as we were talking about earlier, how much it does for a team having a big leader on there who's in good form, and I think that's the example of it there. It's just being at the front with their man.
20 seconds now for Eskren. This goes back. Eindul's just behind him. And then you've got caught. Yeah, it's interesting listening to Magnus Kort. It's almost like he had to be convinced to go for it on the second stage by the sports directors. And you just wonder if that's opened up the belief to him and he's starting to think that this might be his thing, doing these smaller stage races. We're into 33 kilometres from the conclusion at the top of the Alto de Mallol. We're going to go there first, though, for one lap before the end of the race. And we're heading in the next 10 kilometres, in fact, to the Alto de Mallol. This is Jesper Askren, the sole survivor of a three-man break today that also included Lewis Askey of Groupama FDG and Matthias Vatsek of Trek Segafredo. Those two were caught around 5-10 minutes ago. Jesper Askren moved into the King of the Mountains classification. He sits at the top on 18 points at the minute, and today could well pull on the dark blue jersey. If he does that, he'll keep it, considering he finishes tomorrow, until the end of the race and take a prize from this race. Good warm-up for the classics that start next week with opening weekend in Belgium. A reminder that you'll be able to watch it all on Discovery Plus, Eurosport, and of course GCN Plus, and it's live and on demand.
Oh, it's going to be good.
I cannot wait. This is the time of year where we come alive, you know it.
Oh yeah, like the Hulk when he gets angry.
Well, you're not going to be angry with us.
Oh, I'll be getting angry all the time. Riders doing daft things, attacking 80k to go when you're meant to be doing a lead out for your teammate.
Oh, it's a good job you weren't here yesterday when our mate from the AP Hotels and Resorts to Vida team was attacking when the yellow jersey was stopping for a comfort break.
Ooh, I tell you.
You'd have gone absolutely bananas, Adam.
If I were in that peloton, let me tell you now, back in my day, lad, that will not have happened.
Well, what's going to happen here today? Because you've got a lot of riders amassing at the front, and looking at the pink jerseys of VF Education Easy Post and the man in yellow, is there a way that they can set out to try and defend this, or is it all about the legs in the end?
Strength in numbers, really. I think if Magnus is if he's in great form, which he definitely is, but this climb will be a little bit different, I think, to what he's done so far in this race. It'll be a proper test for him, see how well he can climb. I think if the climbers really want to push on at this climb, then Magnus might start to struggle, but I think the answer is to both of them. He'll do what he can, and if he does get dropped, his team will hopefully be around him as much as they can be as well. He won't be isolated on his own, because if he is just within, say that he is dropped just out the back and you know he's 10 seconds off at the top, 10 seconds is still a lot, but if you've got teammates to bring that gap down, it saves your energy once again for that finish climb. So I think for Magnus, it's just about doing what he's been doing, just having a go and seeing how it goes. I don't think he'll come into this race thinking he might be fighting for the overall, and with 2 stages in his pocket. So just got to take the rough with the smooth and enjoy it while I can.
Well, there's not been much rough so far this week, has there?
No, not for him. I have to say, Rob, that Tudor kit I'm quite a fan of.
Well, Fabian Cacciolara's listening to you then. Of course, it's his team.
It is,
as we are looking on the left-hand side at the final climb of the day. It's become a classic, hasn't it, in the early season, the Alto do Mallol. And you can see all the vanners are out. They're parked up. We've seen the barbecues going and long lunches. The odd bit of recreational cycling going on. It's looked great in the images we've seen. On the right-hand side, they're all amassing and getting ready to approach it. 2 ascents of the Alto do Mallol that will go quite a way to deciding how things will shake up tomorrow at the end of this very race, the Tour of the Algarve. Alexander Kamp for Tudor, just been moved up there in that lovely Danish national champions kit.
There they are on the right hand side, yeah, it does look good. It's hotting up now, isn't it? You can see that the pace, just the body language of the riders, the shoulders rocking and rolling a little bit more, the heads going lower and lower, looking around at each other.
Trek Segafredo have moved up as well. They had a good start to the week with Nathanael Tesfatzion looking really good. Up there in the bunch sprint. He can climb as well, let's not forget. He's at 45 seconds too, the 23-year-old. Their best placed is Bauke Mollema at 28 seconds. Talking a rocket and rolling with the shoulders. He does that normally anyway.
He does definitely rock and roll quite a lot. He's one of the riders that he's unmissable with his style. There's a lot of riders where they change teams and they change jerseys and you're like, is that? Oh yeah, that's him. Bauke, it doesn't matter what team he's going to go to, what bike, what colour he's got on, you will know that it's him every time.
He's a commentator's gift, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is.
His team on the right hand side. Tesfatzion sitting at the back of the line. A brand new signing from Androni Giocattoli, which I'm afraid is no more. The team from Italy. Gianni Savio's had to close his doors in Italy, but he's reopened them in Colombia with a third division team, the GW Shimano team. As we now see Stefan Bissiger, Swiss time trial sensation at the front for EF Education Easy Post. Bit of looking around there from Oliveira. Wants to find his teammates. The main teammate will be looking for is Joao Almeida. You can just see him on the left-hand side moving up. Two teammates around him.
That Alpecin kit in the Francis de Joux is quite similar from above, isn't it? I was just thinking, flipping out, they've got a lot of riders in their team in this race, but two teams.
We were talking about commentators' gifts there. All those brand new Navy jerseys aren't commentators' gifts this year.
No.
Final few pedal strokes before we begin the first of two ascents of the Alto do Maial. Groupama FDG on the right hand side, now left as we look at it, trying to do their best to set up their men. Stefan Kung will be trying to hold on. Valentin Madouas will be hoping to attack. Madouas will need time before the time trial tomorrow. Kung will need to be in touch if he's to win it in the time trial tomorrow. Two-pronged attack for them, same for a few teams here. How will they go about it? We're about to find out. Ineos Grenadiers moving on the left-hand side. Castro Viejo and Kwiatkowski, moving up. Kwiatkowski's just bringing up now Filippo Ganna as we see Bissiger go backwards. That means now the man at the front is Owain Dool in the pink jersey. And now then, Jacopo Mosca is to the front to try and put the pace on. Trentin is still there. What a versatile bike rider that man is.
Yep, he is indeed. Trentin still being in there, Mosca. Trentin, he's not got that kick that he used to have anymore, but he's definitely a man that can pretty much do everything, a reliable man. You can always guarantee that he's going to be there with you when needed to be there with you. Just see the little arm being pushed there by the Trek Segafredo rider on the side of, it's Casper Pedersen, or is it Tim de Klerk on the right hand side?
That's de Klerk, the most advanced at the minute. Pedersen's sitting a little further back. You've got Ilan van Wilder, who's at the back there. Remy Cavagna should be somewhere there or thereabouts as well still. There's a rider, Tourage, right at the back, isn't there for Soudal Quick-Step in that blue and white jersey.
This is a hard part now. You can just see Kwiato there on the left-hand side at our right of the screen now, moving up with Ghana, and this is one of those hard points that if you're within the peloton, you're around 15, 10 positions, 20 positions back, you can think, I need to move up, I need to move up, I need to be in position, I need to be in position. And by the time that you get to the front, you've had to do that extra effort that is a lot harder than what it is sitting on in the bunch. But then when you get to the climb and you're in a good position, you've been on the gas for 20-30% more than what the other riders have been around you. So there's that call, and that's why you've got the experienced riders like Kyato in there to help with that. But sometimes when you have a job to do, like Kyato's got there, it's like get them into the climb first, and he does it rightly or wrongly. But this is the entrance to the climb.
Here we are, the first of two ascents of the Alto do Maial. Several riders peel off, others start to think about making their moves. There's 26 kilometres of a lap from here to the top next time, including two ascents of this, the most difficult climb in the Algarve race itself. A lot of looking around still. There's Mark Scottson, left-hand side. Alpecin moving up as well. Quinten Hermans did tell us at the start of the week that they were working for Nicola Conci, and that has been the case. He's their only man in their GC. Here's Tesfazion left-hand side being looked after. And Jai Hindley up to the front following already. Ilafon Wilders on his wheel. And there's a lot of riders already going south.
Yeah, this is an interesting move from Trek Federer as well. Really hammering on the place. It looks to be Maxime Montfort who's doing the pace setting, but they want this to be hard.
Maxime Montfort, what era are we in?
Is it Maxime Montfort?
No, not anymore. He's long retired.
Oh, sorry. I apologise once again.
Adam's still in 2017.
Sorry, yeah, Galopan.
It's another former teammate of yours.
Yes, it is. Look, similar styles.
He wasn't
Sorry,
a bad
everyone.
rider, was he? He was very good. The clock. Now look at all these riders going backwards. Tim de Clercq there. There is Nicola Conci, and there's the yellow jersey. Magnus Cort still there for now. Alongside him to the left, wearing 44 in that red jersey, that's Filippo Ganna. Tobias Foss not far away. Merawi Kudus in that brilliant Eritrean champions jersey alongside him as well.
Ooh.
And we've got a move, and it's Remy Cavagna.
Interesting.
So first card is played by Soudal Quickstep, and Remy Cavagna's at 38 seconds in the general, Adam. It's a clever tactic, this.
Yes, this is a clever tactic indeed. They can take the pressure off his teammates, off Van Wilder, and he can go up the road. And also with the time trial tomorrow, we know how good Remy Cavagna is at time trialing. French national TT champion, absolute rocket. So if he can get a little advantage today, even if it's 10-15 seconds at the finish line, whatever it might be, it's worth doing. And he's definitely going to shake a few things up. The directors now are going to be scrambling in the cars, getting to the radios. Right, guys, we've got Remy Cavagna up the road. We're going to risk it. We're going to let this team chase. Blah 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 blah. All the tactics will start to come out now, and this is the importance of having a road captain within your team who can make that call quickly, and to be able to say to his teammates, whoever's around, and say we need to shut that down or get onto it quickly. It'll make a difference.
Galopin steps it up, try to chase down, but he looks like he's done now. Who's going to take over? There's a look behind from Tesfazion. Hang on a minute, guys, you've left me on my own here.
They need Montfort to get to the front. Sorry.
I like it. Now this is going to play into the hands of Remy Cavagna, and we've got another move now. This time from one of the riders from Intermarché. Could be Kobe Goossens, let's see.
I was just about to say the exact same thing, Rob. It definitely looks like his style.
And look at that tailwind, Adam.
Yep, you were right, Rob.
Well, Kobe Goossens at 38 seconds, and we all know the form he has. We all know exactly what he can do when he's out in front as well. We saw that not once, but twice in the wet, wild, snowy conditions of the Mediterranean. I know that sounds weird, but that's exactly how it was when he went away.
He was going like a rocket for those 2 days. That was out of Mallorca when he won those races last month now, but he was going like a rocket ship and putting a lot of people, Alaphilippe, all that, just not able to get near him, even touch him. 2 solo victories.
Still no big team committing too many resources yet. There's still time to chase things down as we look at Goossens, 21st as we mentioned, at 38 seconds. But what an ally he would be for Rémi Cavagna here at the front. Cavagna would like a little bit of company, I'm sure. They can help each other here, Adam.
Yeah, they can definitely help each other. I think when Goossens gets across, they've got 1 kilometre until the top of the line. Ineos Grenadiers have been forced to ride on the front. Looks like Laurens de Plus. But yeah, the two riders at the front, Goossens and Cavagna, they can definitely help each other. They'll have the same goal. They'll want to get to the finish line with just them two, and however much they can benefit each other by doing that, they'll do it.
You could see that the wind was blowing very strongly, and it's a tailwind, so that is favouring the attackers. Very different to the other day in the Alto da Foya, where we had the headwind, where we had that big group coming together. And there we go, 1 man less for Ineos. Sorry, and that's Kwiatkowski who's done the 28 winner on this very hill. The 2018 winner on this very hill.
It might be that win there, it might be from the helicopter. I've just checked the weather forecast, and the weather forecast did say it's coming from their right shoulder across the road. So we couldn't see which way that was coming from, but it might be the heli.
Interesting. Keep your eye on those flags as we are just a few hundred metres from the bell ringing at the top of the Alto do Maiao. Two attackers. They haven't got a huge gap here, Rémi Cavagna and Kobe Goossens, but they've certainly made a lot of people think about what they might have to do behind. Matteo Trentin is having to work really hard for UAE Emirates. Laurens de Plus is on his wheel. We've got DSM up there as well with a couple of riders. Balcom Mollema is there with his bobbing style, left to right in the red and white jersey. A couple of riders there for Jumbo-Visma. Only 3 riders left on the road for them, I'm afraid. And it's a happy birthday to Milan Farder, who's still in the race, 27 years of age today. We've also got Tim van Dijken and their main man, Tobias Vos. He is the only man able to do anything in the GC, sitting at 28 seconds, the World Time Trial champion. We're wanting a good showing here to be involved tomorrow. Coming up towards what will be the finish, and the last kilometre is the easiest kilometre, by the way, on this climb. It's the only one that's slightly below the average of nigh on 10% gradient. De Plus at the front for Wilder Waits. He's where it levels out a little bit. No time gaps yet. Can't imagine it's too big. Maybe talking 15, 20 seconds max. Probably not even that yet.
You see Filippo Garner by the looks of things right down the his third wheel at the front there. Third wheel. Magnus Cort still in there as well. Just tucked in right behind him.
Question is here, as De Plus is on the radio, who's going to chase? Who's going to work the hardest now?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you've got Cavagna up there. You can't give him too much room. They know that, you know, they have Ineos have Filippo Garner in their team, but they're not just going to be able to start. You can't let him get too much room up the road. Sorry, I'm not really making sense there, but with Cavagna being up the road, Ineos don't want to get on the front, lose men by riding on the front, and then not having that firepower at the finish that they want to have in the original plan. But at the same time, it's a game of chess where you need to try and force other teams to ride, you need to try and force EF to ride, UAE being riding, let's force them to ride. But it's how many riders they've got left within their team to be able to get on the front, bring these back.
Kobe Goossens, who took his first 2 professional victories just the other week in Spain. Rémi Cavagna has quite a few professional victories, and they've mostly been in time trials. He's also done it at the Vuelta a España, though, let's not forget, on the attack and on the break. And now this looks like Bora Hansgrohe do not want to waste the work they've done all day, Adam. They've been chasing for a lot of today. They're committed again, and this is Jonas Koch, and he has Marco Haller on his wheel.
Yeah, it's good that they've got to start riding with Jai there. We know that the time trial is not his biggest, it's not the greatest thing in his locker. He's not the best at it, but he's certainly quite good at it. But he's definitely good at one thing, and that is climbing. So for him today, he needs to go out and try and get as much time as he can on the likes of Ghana, to bring these two back to try and get as much time back on Remy Cabana as possible because they're just better at time trialling, sadly.
It's a long haul time trial as well tomorrow, 25 kilometres around Lagoa, and of course that is well known to anybody who's raced this before. Now then, looking back to the car here, Hugo Hofstetter at the neutral service car, taking a drink before the bar closes, and I imagine he's going to bring that straight away to one of his teammates, because Hofstetter as a sprinter has done pretty well to hang in so far.
Very well.
He also has Warren Barguil in his team. He also has the man who's won a stage here previously, Elie Gerbert. Now, Gerbert's not involved in the general. He's at 1.5 minutes. Of course, with the time trial tomorrow not being really his thing either, you can't really consider him as a GC threat, but he's been a stage winner here before. Interesting that Hofstetter should be doing that job. That's clever riding from him. And good effort for a big sprinter like him to hang on so far. Here comes the Jumbo-Visma train, or what's left of it. It's Milan Farder on the left-hand side, birthday boy. And this is Tobias Foss. By the way, get well soon to Sam Oman, who's crashed out the race, I'm afraid, today.
Oh, there's been some crashes, hasn't there?
By the way, if you want to take a look at the expert's view on the crashes and how dangerous or not you think this sport is, make sure you check out the first edition in the brand new series of The World of Cycling on GCN+. Tom Southern, Ian Field. Guests of Dan Lloyd this week. And that is, of course, exclusive to GCN Plus subscribers.
Did they get Lloyd's crashing on when he did his ankle?
The uphill one?
Yeah. No, not the uphill one, the one that he did recently with his ankle.
Oh no, that was a shocker. A shocker. Dear. Poor things. Now, they're quite the recovery from that.
He has, yeah.
Thankfully, he's back on. He's firing on all cylinders again, as you'll be able to see on The World of Cycling.
He's up and running.
That's what we want. Here we are, 20 kilometres to go. Much reduced group now.
Sorry, Rob, I was about to say, you can see how fast this is as well. Downhill, as we mentioned, just under 1% average for the next 14k, so it'll drop down, go up, but for the riders, if you can get in the front, if you can stay in that tucked in position, you're not trying to move up places, you can save quite a bit of energy. This is one of the little lumps in the road that goes up slightly, where you can recover a little bit more on the wheels, as we hear Remy Cabana's freewheel. Positioning will be key. We saw Kwiatkowski move Ghana up before the bottom of the last climb. They don't want to be making those big efforts coming into the bottom of the climb.
Now then, just less than 20 kilometres to go. It's half a minute for the two in front. It's starting to get a little serious. EF Education Easy Post is starting to chase because, of course, the GC comes into play now. Just as it has done all week, it's kept us entertained, interested, and the GC situation is evolving right in front of us. It's the fourth of 5 stages at the Volta Algarve. The Tour of the Algarve with its second and final uphill finish today, the Alto de Malhão. The Alto de Malhão is the shorter of the 2 uphill finishes, but the steeper. We, of course, take it on twice. We've been up one time already. We had an attack from this man. This is Remy Cabana, the former French road champion. And alongside him is Kobe Goossens, the Flemish rider from Intermarché in Belgium. They've got 26 seconds on what's left of the peloton. But the likes of Magnus Kort, they'll be worried about these in front. However, it could have been worse, couldn't it? There were no big attacks from any of the climbers who you thought probably had to make it ridiculously hard with this time trial coming tomorrow. Have they missed their moment, the Jaya Hindleys of this world and people like that?
Yeah, for the overall, it's very difficult to say. I think first, maybe. But I think firstly, what they want to do today is go and try and win the stage. For the likes of Jaya Hindley, the real climbers in this, try and win the stage and then see if you've got a time gap, and we'll assess tomorrow. If you can get the GC, icing on the cake. But if not, you came here and you've won the hardest mountain stage, and that's what we came here to do. So it's not all fails, it's not all over yet, but we'll just see what happens on that last climb. It depends who's really got the legs, obviously.
6 points went to Kobe Goossens on the top of the Alto de Malhão. King of the Mountains at the moment, by the way, is Kisper Askreen, who is in today's breakaway. He's joining us late. He was in the break alongside Lewis Haskey of Groupama FDJ and Matthias Watzek, rider who comes from Trek Segafredo. They were caught good 20 k's ago or so. And we're now 18 kilometres from the finish. 36 seconds for these two attackers. And it starts to get interesting for the GC because they're both at that sort of distance, aren't they? Just looking down in front of me now, you've got the rider from Sudal Quickstep. He's at 38 seconds, so getting towards virtual general classification lead for him. And remember, he is, by trade, a time trialist with a 25 kilometre TT to go. That's very good news for him. And also Kobe Goossens at 38 seconds as well. So the two men opting for the virtual GC lead right now. But there'll be no panic from Magnus Kort at the moment because he'll know that he's not the only man who'll want to bring this back. How are his legs as well after the last 2 days' exertions? That's another question. Of course, we're just talking like he's going to turn up and rinse the field again, but he's got to take something out of him.
He definitely had sorry, my microphone on mute, had a mild panic then. I was just saying, Goossens there, he definitely was able to recover quite well in Mallorca. He was able to rinse the field consecutive days after each other, and they were hard days that he had to go and do that on as well. Here he's had a couple of hard days, but they won't have all been absolutely full gas going for the wind days for him. So today he shot his shot, and let's see if he can hit the target.
EF Education Easy Post pulling at the front. .5 kilometres remain. And these are these country roads around the Alto do Maial. Very short climb that they've already done once, by the way, is approaching at the bottom of this next descent. Think of a map today, there are two loops. Large loop we did first, the shorter loop between the two passages of the Alto do Maial. And here we go. This is Valentin Madouas. Where is he though?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. At the back, he's getting back on.
Chasing on. Why was he out the back? That's the question. What sort of issue has he had?
Must have had a puncture, mechanical, something like that. He didn't look like he came off. He didn't look to be in any pain as such, or maybe just a mechanical. Let's get back on, but it's going to be an odd on your own in between these cars now. Jump along. We can see how strung out the peloton's getting, and he's still yet to get on the back of that before he even gets to the front yet. Only with 15 k's to go as well.
Fourth overall before today, Valentin Madouas at 26 seconds, the rider from France. Good cycling family. His father was a pro as well in the 1990s. Good cycling pair at the front. Both good climbers. Cavagna's case, tremendous time trialist, and we saw with Goossens that once he gets a lead, he's difficult to bring back. We saw it 2 days in a row in Mallorca. 32 seconds here. And you would say with the firepower in this group, it has to be advantage this group, and they're slowly pulling second by second back, but they won't be too comfortable here.
They're definitely pulling it back, that's for sure, but they're not pulling it. 37 seconds, it's gone out again. But yeah, they're not pulling it back super quick. Those two riders that have gone out the front and the terrain they're on, they're obviously two very capable, strong riders, so they're not just going to get it back like an early break. They've been out there all day. They've been able to sit in the wheels and recover. So for the riders that have got to chase them, they've got to ride very, very hard.
Valentin Madouas has had some sort of incident we haven't been able to see. Now then, we might be able to see it here. Bike change?
Might possibly be.
You could just see him grab the reason I say that, he just grabbed the computer, didn't he? The head unit in his right hand before he pulled over there. And he was grabbing a bidon as well at the same time. He's obviously had a bike change. There's no number on this bike, so that's confirmed. So there was obviously some sort of mechanical issue, and he's making his way back on. But as you say, Adam, it's taken a bit out of him, I'm sure. He's not had any help from any teammates either.
I was just about to say as well, he's not had any help from that EF education car as well. You see the gap that he just slowed down. I'm sorry, Tom Southam, if you're driving, or Charlie Regalius, but we know what you're doing. It's just when you leave that gap a little bit more open and the rider has to... All the directors do it. It's part of the bike racing. There's races in the team car as well, but just giving him that little bit of an extra work to do, a little bit more power so he doesn't get the sit of the car or the motorbike in front.
I know that Juan Magarate is down there as one of the sports directors. I'm not sure if they're with him at the moment, though.
I'm sorry.
If Tom was on the World of Cycling this week, I imagine he's not at that particular race, but we're narrowing it down. And Andreas Clear, by the way, congratulations to him. He's just had an art exhibition open just down the road from me in Palma, so he's a busy boy as well.
It's probably Charlie then. I'll get a message off him shortly. In trouble.
Well, they've had a great week, haven't they? An absolutely tremendous week so far, and a brilliant start to the season for the American team. Continuation of the situation you described a moment ago, Adam. They're bringing it back little by little, but perhaps not at the big rate they want to right now.
Yeah, I'd say they are bringing it back. They're going downhill, so they're able to swap off a little bit more on the front and get fresh riders in, but for me, it's playing into the hands on these sort of roads, into the hands of the peloton rather than the breakaway, just because you are able to do that. You're able to, one guy does half a minute on the front, then the next guy does half a minute, and then the next guy does half a minute. So those constant swappings or 10-second turns, whatever you do, will become a lot more frequent than the ones that what the riders are doing in front, Ghostons. Just because they want to do a longer turn on the front, so you get a little bit longer recovery. The speed won't go up and down as much, and it's more consistent, whereas in the peloton here it's just bang, 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 bang. We need to bring them back as quick as we can.
12 kilometres to go. It's Marco Haller here on the front. 22 seconds is the gap. They're not hanging around. They've been down this road already once before, about 30 kilometres back. This is where we first started to see the action for this narrow road and the fighting for position. The breakaway was still away at this point.
Oh. This is definitely going to be split up at the bottom of here, and gaps will be opened.
Well, it's that same very short climb coming up that they had once as well, unclassified. Following that, we've got less than 10 kilometres until the start of the final climb. Remember that start of the final climb coming with just under 3Ks to the finish. Go into that big sharp right turn, and oh dear, oh dear. Damon Arendsman is not having much luck.
What's happened with that? Is it a front wheel puncture? Must be.
He's going to be out the game, isn't he? 11Ks to go here, Adam.
Yep, 11Ks to go, and I don't think that was his teammate either. It looks to be Shimano.
Oh, well, I can understand why he's angry, because this has happened a couple of times this week for him. Not the first time it's happened. It was the other day, the Alto da Foya, where he had to take a teammate's bike, actually. He had to take Laurens de Plus's bike, and then Michał Kwiatkowski helped him back on. So you've got to feel a little bit for the Dutchman who joined the team not so long ago. And this week, well, it's looking difficult for him to perform a miracle to get back on here and to be involved in the finale.
I can confirm that Tom Southern is not in the team car, and he's just sent me a picture of where he is, and it looks beautiful.
Elaborate a bit more?
I don't want to elaborate too much and get him in trouble. That's probably going to get him in trouble, isn't it?
Sorry, Tom. Have a good time anyway. 11Ks to go, and Matteo Trentin's having a good time at the front. He is battling. 24 seconds with the two out in front, just ahead of him. Jan van Wilder's still got one rider with him. He's got a rider up the road as well, and they're following.
Yeah, you can see Court there, just not going too much into the red, just sitting in that on that tempo that he knows. He's not trying to follow the other riders, he's just doing what he knows, and he probably knows that he'll be with them at the top of this climb. Garner looking to do a similar thing behind, staying within himself.
Cyril Quickstep and Jan van Wilder just sitting in there, sitting right on the wheel of Lars de Plus. 95 just behind him, Oscar Onley, the young Scotsman in the black jersey for DSM. Magnus Cort watch a little further back here, behind Warren Barguil. Just in front of Barguil, you can see Tobias Foss. Also there is Nicola Conci, blue jersey. Short climb this, but really steep.
Yeah, this is catching quite a few people out here, down to 12 seconds now as well. The damage that Trentin's doing. How long will he be able to keep going on over the top from here, though? And who else is going to be able to do it with him?
Well, the victims of Trentin's pulling at the front are on the screen now. And he's nearly brought two more victims back. Kobe Goossens and Remy Cavagna. These two were going brilliantly. Look at the work that Trentin's had to do on this climb. He's destroyed these guys' advantage.
He has done. He's brought that right down, and very, very quickly indeed. Within a kilometre pretty much he's brought that back. So there's a reason why we're seeing riders go out the back, seeing riders suffering. And when you see a gap from 30 seconds, 20 seconds down to pretty much caught within the space of a kilometre, you know that they're going quickly.
Old Christian Eiking out the back. Tony Galopin, not Maxime Montfort, but Tony Galopin is out the back there for Trek Segafredo. And we're approaching now the final 10 kilometres of the fourth stage of the Volta Algarve. I was just looking behind as well. There were a couple of UAE riders looking back to see where Joao Almeida was. And Trentin was riding so well that he was putting his own leader under pressure there.
Wow. They're probably worried about him. See if he's up near the front on this downhill. We know that Trentin can go downhill very quickly, and we know Almeida's not the most confident descender, so they're probably trying to move him up before the downhill.
$10Ks to go. They are flying in Portugal today. It's Trentin piling on the pressure. They have the Portuguese champion in their ranks to UAE Emirates. Finn Fisher-Black to support him towards the end, but it's Matteo Trentin who's brought back a really strong attack from two really good riders. Kobe Goossens, 2 times a winner already this year. Remy Cavagna, a top time trialist who can climb. Both brought straight back after having over 30 seconds of a gap and starting to trouble the general classification teams.
There's a split there in the peloton, back to one of the UAE riders as well. So Trentin on the front, dropping teammates, dropping bombs. His teammates getting back in. And the two riders have definitely been caught. Yeah, there's Cavagna and Goossens, on the back of that group.
Kevin Vermaak is still in there in the black jersey at the back here, the American for DSM. Oscar Onley's their climber though. Shown more good form. And there is Magnus Cort. Now then, what's the goal here for Magnus Cort today? Is it survival and keep in touch as much as possible with the time trial tomorrow, or can he be more ambitious again?
I think survive, stay within that touching distance for as long as you can. I think if he can get to the top and he might lose 10 seconds, whatever it might be, he might be able to get that back in the time trial tomorrow. So it's important that he does that and not just recognise I've been dropped, that's it, I'm over and out. But I think to win on this terrain, I'd happily eat my own words, but I don't think he can do it. I just think it's a little bit too steep for him. I think the riders are going to go a little bit, the pure climbers will come out a little bit more. But first, I'm so happy to be wrong about that as well.
Well, it's 2.5 kilometres long roughly, isn't it, the Alto de Mollao? The first 1.5, 2 kilometres are all above 10% gradient. And then you've got that 7-8%. So it doesn't exactly flatten out to the top. It gets a little easier. This is a really hard climb, even though it's short. And we've got this sort of undulating run into it now. The riders who are setting the pace at the front are going to make it as difficult as possible for everyone else. Now look at the job that Merawi Kudus is doing here for his team leader. Moving Magnus Cort right to the front again.
That's where he's got to be. Just place him in the best position possible, and that in this case is probably more towards the front. He can sit near the front on the climb when the climb starts. If he's sticking to his tempo and not responding to attacks, etc., he'll be able to slide back a little bit, slide back down the peloton, do 20, 30 watts less maybe than whoever else is trying to ride fast on the front, and then hopefully able to save enough to then sprint at the end after if he's still within that group. But Kudus doing a fantastic job of protecting him, because they are the only two in there, I think, from EF now.
Last year's stage winner Sergio Higuita here is still sitting at the back. Not had the best week form-wise. You could see him the other day just explaining to his teammates that he wasn't feeling amazing, but he's held on, he's fought, he's still there. Alpha Wilders being moved up left-hand side. Sudal, Quick Stepper played their cards. There is Magnus Kort, wearing number 22 and the yellow jersey. Pink helmet on. His teammate, of course, you can see he's got the Eritrean jersey on the right-hand side, wearing number 25, Kudus, who just did that good job, and he's one of the top climbers in this bunch. Become a great domestique, but of course he started life as a climber who was going for his own success. He's a top bike rider. Quinten Hermans is still there to lend a hand to his new teammate Nicola Conchi as well. Hermans out of the GC now at 6 minutes 58, but he told us early on this week that was planned. Stefan Kung at the back, yeah. 33 on his back and the blue jersey.
Kung, I remember this race last year, he was absolutely flying. He was going like an absolute train, and he was going that well that it was starting to be like, wow, he's going to win absolutely every classic at this race. He's just going like an animal. So he's still there now. Similar situation, he's not at the front as much as he was last year, but this will be a good test for him today to see where he's at compared to last year and the numbers, etc. Similar climb, same race, same climb.
Sort of short climb uphill. It's more false flat uphill, 2-3% gradient here for the next couple of kilometres. We're less than 4 kilometres now to the start of our final climb of this Volta Algarve. Tomorrow's a 25 kilometre long time trial around the town of Lagoa on the coast. And these are the riders who are left. Yellow jersey race leader Magnus Kort. Rui Costa moves up and around him as well. Remember, stealthily riding away as he has done all week. Second, 18 seconds. He's shown back in the days of Rui Costa winning stage races regularly, Tour of Switzerland, etc. But if he has to hold on to a leader's jersey on the final daytime trial, he's pretty good at that as well. Because riding against the likes of Kung and Ganna, Foss is a different prospect. But we will see. There he is. I think he'll be looking just for a stage win if he can at home first. Not much left, is there now? 5.5 Ks to go.
Yeah, Stefan Kung, who we were just talking about, has just moved up as well on the right-hand side. Bringing his leader to the front. You've got Casper Pedersen right down the back still. Good ride test from UAE Emirates today. Not just Trentin, but the whole team. They've committed alongside Bora Hansgrohe, and not as easy for them. They've only got, five riders on the road here. They came with 6. One went home after day one, Mark Hirschi. It's not as if they've got the full, strong climbing team either. Finn Fisher-Black is a brilliantly young, talented climber from New Zealand at 21 years of age. He's sitting now just alongside João Almeida. And with 5 kilometres to go, it's Matteo Trentin who's doing the lion's share of the work. Five Ks to go, just under 2.5 kilometres before the final ascent of the Alto do Maiao. We're about to go over the top of this little lip now, and then that race into the bottom of the climb begins. They've already done it once today. They'll be looking to do it again and set up their top riders. This is the final uphill finish, and we're seeing now one of the teams who normally gets involved here sprinting up the left-hand side as we look at it. It's the red jerseys of Ineos Grenadiers, and they have numbers and names straight back and ready to work. They have a lot of numbers in there.
It's Laurens de Plus, it's Jonathan Castro Viejo. You also have Filippo Ganna, Tom Pidcock and Danny Martinez.
Yeah, that is a lot of firepower. Be interesting to see here on the GC what happens with Pidcock and Ghana, especially they're one of the two highest places out of that team. But Ghana having that time trial tomorrow.
And Martinez here, I mean, he can time trial.
I mean, it's a good team, isn't it?
It's a ridiculously good team.
And with that, we're expecting a stage win, minimum.
Well, they tried the other day. They controlled for most of the climb, actually, on Alto de Foya. But in the end,
Ghana
things got out of hand.
Yesterday, especially Ghana in that sprint yesterday, chasing down Magnus Cort, got a little bit blocked behind and then got the gears going, didn't he? And he wasn't too far off, but even from the start of the season, the way he's been climbing this year has been another level up from what he already was last year by the looks of things.
Approaching the final climb of the day, 3 kilometres to go on stage 4 of the Volta Algarve. Who's going to join the likes of Alberto Contador, Richie Porte, Sergio Henao, as well as Michał Kwiatkowski, Elie Gebert in the last couple of years, and Sergio Higuita in winning at the top of this climb that's taken on each and every spring in Portugal. Across this bridge they go. There's a right turn coming up, and then the climbing, the fun is about to begin. Bora Hansgrohe at the front on the right hand side looking for Jai Hindley. Here's Nathanael Tesfatzion for Trek Segafredo. He has Bauke Mollema just a couple of wheels behind him. And if you want to try and take it to the general classification riders and you aren't a time trialist, you really have to launch very early on indeed. And on that front, Jai Hindley's on the wheel now and ready to go. Ilan van Wilder's not too far away as well. You can see that Warren Barguil is up there too. Nicola Conci in the dark blue jersey. Yellow jersey, race leader, is not far away either, but starting to slip and slime as you can see now. Jai Hindley is at the front, moving, working, trying to ride away and really stretching things out. Adam, the gaps are peaching.
Yep, he wants to make this hard, doesn't he? As soon as he got onto the climb, straight into it, no messing about, and he's trying to put the hurt on straight away. Van Wilder straight on his wheel, one of the Alpecin riders to his right.
Okay, eyes on the prize because there's a gap to the yellow jersey. There is a small gap to the yellow jersey with 2 kilometres to go. And for Magnus Cort, it's about limiting any damage and seeing if he can still be in charge. The first gap looks like it might be about to be closed by his teammate Kudus here, as there's a bit of hesitation in this front group now.
I think it's obviously not helping them having not much wind up here when it's this steep. I said earlier, if they had a tailwind up here, they'd be able to open that gap up quite quickly. And for the other riders like Magnus Cort, having a headwind or a little bit of a crosswind will benefit them more. And you can see this, for example, now. Jai Hindley going on the attack and then just being able to ride their tempo and the gap not being too big, they're able to get back on each time.
That was Conchi on the attack, and that was Pidcock closing it down. Van Wilder in and around him. Tobias Foss is up there, and Magnus Cort is still in charge.
Ghana still in there as well, middle of the screen.
Danny Martinez moving up just behind Filippo Ganna as well. Marquez challenge starting to fall away for the moment, and Kudus just under loose contract behind as well. Rui Costa right in that front group again, Adam. Now this is Foss who's struggling. Can't quite control and close the wheel. Mollema's on his wheel. Foss radioing in now. In this front group, you've still got Pidcock, Hindley, Van Wilder. Onley's up there as well, I think, for DSM. This, in the meantime, is Magnus Cort, the race leader, just sitting on the wheel of Sebastian Reichenbach, former Swiss champion who rides for Tudor. Stefan Kung is in there. Number 53 here is Kobe Goossens, who's already been on the attack. And now we get an attack. Looks like Sergio Higuita this time.
Yeah, Higuita. Ooh, Pidcock now on the attack. Are they going to follow?
He's already had one little dig. It's Higuita who's trying to close it down now. Foss had just worked his way back on. We're 1.6 kilometres from the finish line. Yellow jersey not in your sight and on his way to losing time, but he's not a million miles off here.
I always forget with Tom Pidcock that he won the Alpe d'Huez stage in the Tour de France. The kid can climb.
Done it in the under-23 races as well. He bossed the baby Giro, didn't he, back at the time? And he's taken some other young climbing talent with him as well. Only follows in the black jersey. This is looking a little bit worse now for the likes of Kort and Kung.
Yeah, for Magnus now, this is the point. Pidcock's still out the saddle.
That's only who can't hack the pace.
Yeah, I mean, Higuita's dropped off already. This is a solid effort here. Rui Costa's been distanced. He's in the background there with that yellow helmet on, trying to get back on. But this is a great effort by Pidcock.
Yeah, actually, I do Oscar Only a disservice there, because the dark jersey that we could see from up on high was in fact Sergio Higuita. Only's still there. Higuita's on the back of this group now with Hindley just in front of him. That's Dani Martinez, João Almeida and Rui Costa. And it is Rui Costa who's trying to close the gap right now. 1.2 kilometres to go. Pidcock looks round. Van Wilder's with him. Only's there as well.
Yeah, it's a great move by Pidcock here. He's put the distance into the rivals that he wanted to. I'm sure he'd be quite confident in a sprint against these two, but this is shocked me.
And they're through that 1 kilometre to go barrier. Now, Ilan van Wilder looking around. Oscar Only, just 20 years of age, from Kelso in Scotland, Adam, looking for his first pro win, and he is in quite the company as we look back to see Magnus Kort. And just in front of Stefan Kung, Valentin Madouas was trying to bring them back up. They're losing time, aren't they now? The yellow jersey could be about to fade away, certainly with the likes of Pidcock and Van Wilder up the front. A reminder that Van Wilder's just 20 seconds from the lead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if Almeida can bring this back. You can see the change in pace here. Just round that corner, flattens off a tiny bit, not too much, but if they're able to bring this back, it's going to be interesting if they play in the front or not. Because if the riders in the front start playing, then it's going to be game over. They will get caught.
Whatever happens, I think it's going to be still very interesting and very close tomorrow, because we're not going to get huge gaps today, but it's coming back here. There aren't gaps here now because João Almeida is bringing this back. Rui Costa struggling to hack the pace, and it's João Almeida who comes around. Oh, we're going to get some Portuguese passion in the final few hundred metres. It's Almeida who's there. Pidcock on his wheel. Then Martinez is there as well. Hindley and Van Wilder trying to come around. Oscar Only still moves up into third place now.
Yeah, Higuita's just trying everything, rocking and rolling right at the back to get that gap, but these three are going clear.
We look back to the yellow jersey who's losing time. Can Magnus Kort hang on? It'll be get your stopwatches out stuff in a moment. But at the front it's João Almeida who's trying to ride away on Portuguese soil. He's carrying the national flag, but look at Higuita coming from behind again. He knows how to win on this mountain, and he's trying to do it again. Higuita moving back into shot as it's João Almeida who looks around. Higuita now back onto the back wheel, and Pidcock flies off the front. Tom Pidcock goes away, flies away, looks around and sees a gap in the road to João Almeida. Fighting with a bike, fighting with a gradient, fighting against the whole field. Tom Pidcock against João Almeida. The Portuguese fans roar him on, but nobody can do anything to stop Tom Pidcock taking the victory. Pidcock across the line, and now the count back starts to the rest of the field. Pidcock wins stage 4 in the Algarve and is now a candidate to be involved in the shake-up for the general classification. But as are this lot, Foss, Ganna and company are there at 20 seconds as well. Rui Costa's involved too. And we look back now to the yellow jersey, because Magnus Kort, I'm afraid he's going to cede the jersey today. Tom Pidcock right up there. He was there at 26 seconds. We'll have to do all the sums and the counting in just a moment's time. But Tom Pidcock wins the stage. Magnus Kort, after days and days of entertaining us, is going to lose the jersey today, but will still be in the shake-up tomorrow. We are going to have quite the battle for the general classification. But on this hill, not too much separate them, Adam. We had attacks and moves, and when it all came back together, Tom Pidcock powered away from the rest.
He was brilliant then, Tom. I mean, he was the one that opened that gap up originally on the climb. Not the first attacker, but one that made the big difference. And then just coming into the finish, that was a long sprint. About, it wasn't quite 300 metres, but not far off. On terrain like that, you could see him out the saddle the whole way, just giving it everything all the way till the line. But yeah, brilliant to see Tom get his account open for the year.
And just at the right time as well, because he said he wanted to be on it from Omloop at Nieuwsblad all the way to Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And the week before opening weekend, he picks up his first win of the road season. And this is how he did it. Almeida was really strong, wasn't he? Pulled it back, went himself, but Pidcock waited and waited.
Yeah, it was a good move by Almeida, although the acceleration that he had, I don't feel like he needed to do this. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, obviously. But yeah, he opens that gap. You can see Gita at this point just trying to get back on terms. He looks like he can do so. But don't forget, these guys haven't started accelerated yet. Almeida just concentrating, sitting in the saddle, Pidcock behind out the saddle. Looks across his shoulder. At this point, I think it's around 400 metres to go, 300 metres to go, sorry. Pidcock goes, and there's a late reaction by Almeida. He had to almost take a second to look like he got past, react to Pidcock, and once he got that gap of 4 or 5 metres, that was it really. He brought a little bit back Almeida on Pidcock, but it was just a very long sprint for Pidcock, and one that he thoroughly deserved after those efforts earlier on the climb as well.
Pidcock victorious on the Alto do Maial, joining the likes of Alberto Contador, who've won here in the Bast. Simply the best on the day. Pidcock ahead of Almeida. And Pidcock now certainly in with a shout of the overall as well. Celebrations for Ineos Grenadiers, who had their stage win and still have plenty of possibilities to try and take the GC tomorrow. And this is a shot of how he did it, up to the top of the Alto do Maial. And the rest ride home. Those in red and navy blue can celebrate. He controlled things on the climb on stage 2 without any reward. They certainly have their reward today, and we'll be keeping an eye on all the times, because we did see Filippo Ganna come in close there. Of course, with the time trial, he has to be one of the favourites to try and take the overall tomorrow. There will be plenty of bodies looking to that. And a reminder that, by the way, tomorrow we will be on our digital platforms, on Discovery Plus and GCN Plus, if you'd like to watch the concluding and final stage, where it will be all to play for. This is how it started at the end of the day. We began in Albufeira, the big holiday resort down on the seaside. Nice sunny day in the 49th Volta Algarve. Bora Hansgrohe controlled for a lot of the day. Jesper Askren controlled things in the breakaway. He was on fine form, picking up the King of the Mountains prize.